Happiness is power. When you're feeling happy, you have the most clarity, you've got the most energy, and you have no hesitation around action. Instead, you take action with determination and conviction because you just want to take action. Happiness is power, but for many people, reaching that state of happiness can be challenging. Sometimes people are experiencing such strong negative emotion that they cannot fathom being happy. Often, as people grow accustomed to negative emotion, they tend to think that happiness is either impossible or they doubt the importance of being in an uplifted state of mind. Happiness is power, however, and happiness needs priority. Chronic negative emotion can cloud your judgment, and it can lead to outcomes that produce more negative emotion. Positive emotion provides clarity, and it provides a heightened ability to connect with people. You can verify this by paying attention to your outcomes and your ability to connect created while you're in a state of negative emotion, and contrast that with your outcomes and your connection ability while you're in a state of positive emotion. Happiness is power, but often happiness feels out of reach, and that can be discouraging. Sometimes finding happiness seems impossible, but it's always quite probable that you will find happiness again. You only need to remember conceptually that you are better off when happy. From there, you just make whatever movement seems possible for you in the direction of happy. This is known as climbing the emotional scale. At the low end of the emotional scale, you've got feelings of sadness and helplessness. As you move up the scale, just above sadness is anger, above anger is frustration, above frustration is indifference, and then from there, you move to a state of calm or zen. As you reach the high end of the emotional scale, you'll find feelings of joy, strength, and love. So before continuing, I want to be clear about this. Until you've mastered this tool, your movement up the emotional scale may just take some more time. It's with practice and with habit that you will find that movement up the scale occurs rapidly. And this really is meant to occur quickly when you've got this down, but don't feel badly if you find yourself slowly moving up this scale. Furthermore, just as you can move up the scale, you can also move down. So it's going to be up to you to be aware of whether or not you are moving up or down the scale. And it will be up to you to intentionally decide to move up the emotional scale. So you know where you are on the scale by the way that you feel and by the outcomes that you create. If you feel negative emotion, and as you feel that your outcomes are not pleasing you, that indicates that you are on the lower end of the scale. If you feel positive emotion, as you notice that your outcomes are pleasing you, that indicates that you're on the higher end of the scale. And finally, you should never judge yourself based on where you are on this scale. You're always worthy, you're always loved, and you're always deserving. When deep in negative emotion, finding joy may feel impossible. And this is a time when you will find it useful to climb the emotional scale. So rather than attempt to jump from feeling deep negativity to feeling joy, instead, you just seek some relief from that level of negativity that you're feeling. The deepest form of negativity includes feelings of helplessness and sadness. When feeling helpless or sad, your goal is to move into anger. Anger feels strong. For quite some time in our society, we've been teaching people who feel helpless to embrace their anger. Get angry. Do not let them treat you that way. These are things that we have been saying to people who have been abused or otherwise taken advantage of. We say this because there is strength in anger. There is self-love in anger. From a state of anger, you begin to know your own value and you begin to reject those that take you for granted. Furthermore, you reject the circumstances that cause you to feel like you're losing. It's much easier to move from feeling helpless and sad to feeling angry, and it can be a much more manageable step than attempting to move all the way to joy. When you're feeling helpless, it is actually beneficial for you to place blame on other people. When feeling helpless, it's actually beneficial for you to get angry with your circumstances, and it can be beneficial for you to get angry with the people around you. Your anger signals your willingness to understand just how much you deserve better. That's going to be powerful for you. That understanding of your value and of what you deserve makes it easier for you to move up the emotional scale. If you're feeling sad or helpless, find a way to get angry. However, you do not want to live in anger. You do not want to make decisions from this state of anger. You really do not want to take action when in this state of anger. Anger is more beneficial than sadness. Simultaneously, anger is clouding your judgment, and anger is closing your opportunities off to you. You'll push helpful people away from your state of anger. You will push loving people away from your state of anger, and you will make choices that lead to conflict from your state of anger. You really do not want to live in this emotion, because while anger will empower you and lift you out of helplessness and sadness, anger will simultaneously disempower you, and it will close you off to love and opportunity. As you move up the emotional scale, it is sensible to use anger, but it's never a good idea to stay angry. So your next step will be to find less intense feelings of anger, known as frustration. How you do this will be specific to you. We all have our methods. I personally find that moving from anger to frustration means embracing the idea that while the people around you and while the circumstances that surround you are to blame, you know that you're smart and you know that you'll find a way to just get yours anyway. Moving from sadness to anger meant that you began to appreciate your own value, and in this state of anger, you began to embrace your intelligence more so. You just feel smart when angry. You just feel smart when in that state of frustration. And smart people know how to fend for themselves, and they know how to create prosperous environments for themselves. As you embrace this idea, you'll create a prosperous environment for yourself, and your mood is going to improve. While you may still dislike the people around you, while you may still dislike your circumstances, you will not feel as badly because you know that you're smart and you know that you know how to fix this situation. That relief from anger will feel like frustration. And as you further embrace the idea of your own intelligence and strength, as you further embrace the idea that you will create prosperity for yourself, you're going to find yourself higher on the emotional scale, which is a state of feeling indifferent. That is a really good thing. However, you will still limit yourself by living in a state of frustration or indifference. Frustration and indifference are still very limiting negative emotions. As you live in negative emotion, you will adversely impact your quality of life and you will adversely impact your health. Living in a state of frustration or indifference is still somewhat negative emotion because there is still that cynicism about your environment and about the people around you. And the cynicism was useful when you were moving from a state of helplessness to a state of anger. Now that cynicism is hurting you because cynicism is closing you off to love, cynicism is closing you off to connection, and therefore cynicism is closing you off to opportunity. So after moving from anger to frustration, you must take that next step, which is to move to a state of calm or zen. People often find it easier to find calm and zen when they are alone. Being alone is not required for finding calm and zen. However, especially for people who are just learning how to use this, being alone is very helpful. From your state of frustration, just make a decision to move your focus away from the seemingly toxic people around you. Move your focus away from the adverse circumstances that you've been experiencing, and for now, just focus narrowly on what you know about your own strength. Focus narrowly on the fact that you have your own back. Focus narrowly on the positive changes that you've been making for yourself, and focus on everything that is going well for you. At all times, there are so many things going well for you, but whether or not you realize this does depend on whether or not you're willing to give due appreciation to those things that are going well. From a state of frustration, you can find and pay exclusive attention to those things that are going well. And that's how you're going to be able to find calm and zen. This is a wonderful state of being, but there's an even more powerful state of being than calm and zen, and that is a state of joyful emotion. At this point, finding joy is much easier. When you're feeling zen, you can find joy. You can do that easily because you can easily set your attention on and you can easily appreciate those things that are going well. From your state of calm, as you look to joy, the same people, the same actions, and the same circumstances that brought you joy in the past, as you were deep in negative emotion, those same people, the same actions, the same circumstances brought you more negative emotion. But now that you're back in a state of joy, those same people and the same actions and the same circumstances will bring you further joy as you give them your attention. When you feel like this, you have reached the top of the emotional scale. Up here, you are happy, whole, and satisfied. Up here, you feel loved and you're very loving, which means you're very collaborative. Your ability to solve problems is maximized from your state of joy. Furthermore, your ability to live life the way that you want to live it is maximized from your state of joy. You climb the emotional scale by giving your attention to your own value and by giving your attention to the value of what you have. As you do so, you find that your negative emotion subsides and your positive emotion strengthens. The emotional scale is a very useful tool for finding your joy. Even as you feel your deepest and negative emotion, just know that joy is available to you and you are going to find it. Sending good vibes.